Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the podcast. Give me 1 second to sip my tea because today's a little bit special. I'll tell you about it in just 1 second. This is fantastic tea. I think this is this is that African rooibos tea. Back to the podcast. I'm your host, Vic Stams. Today, and I know I say this every episode, but today is special. In fact, I've actually termed today's episode the Law and Order Edition because today's guest is a special guest. The man sitting across from me is a renowned litigator, an incredible trial lawyer. He is probably one of the most talented lawyers I've ever met. He's an amazing father, family man, a washed-up semi-pro basketball player, and I think he's a member of this random organization. I think it's Kappa Psi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. More importantly, he's my dear friend, Lonnie Randolph II. Lonnie, welcome to the podcast.
Well, thank you. Other than you getting my fraternity wrong, Kappa Alpha Psi.
Nobody really cares about the fraternity anyway. Let's edit that out.
That was a great introduction. You exceeded expectations, my brother.
My brother, welcome, man.
Thank you, man. Glad to be here finally, man.
This has been a minute in the making. I think we've been planning to do this podcast at least over a year now.
It's been a little while.
Every time I think about shooting a podcast with you, I have all these questions about the law, things that are going on in the news. And every time we postpone it, I feel like it just compiles and more adds up. You know, initially it was things like the Epstein thing, maybe the presidential election. Now we got the Diddy situation. It's a lot to unpack in today's podcast.
Hey, man, life is life. Something new every day.
But for the viewers at home that have not met you, who don't know you like I do, you're from East Chicago, Indiana.
Yep.
And one of the things I remember as I was preparing for today's podcast, when I looked you up, I said, damn. I said, this man's dad has a damn Wikipedia page? Is your dad a state senator, a congressman? What is your dad?
So my dad is a state senator in the state of Indiana, and he's also an attorney.
Shout out, man, to your dad.
He's been doing double duty for quite some time.
That's why I get his own Wikipedia page, the whole thing, man.
Yeah, I didn't even know that. So clearly you've been doing your research. I didn't even know that.
So let me ask you this. Was there a lot of pressure on you growing up to go into law, considering your dad is so heavily involved in the law, politics, et cetera?
Nah, man. You know, from the beginning, becoming a lawyer was always my plan B. My plan A was to be a professional basketball player. But I told myself if I didn't make it to the NBA, making millions of dollars, I needed a plan B. And that was always what I knew going to law school, getting into the law. That was going to be my plan B no matter what.
Did your parents instill that in you, or that was just kind of just something that was naturally within you? You always knew to have a plan B.
So true story. So growing up, when people would call the house looking for my dad, they always were calling looking for him because they needed help with something. And I always see that he was somebody always helping resolving other people's problems. And I used to hate always being the middleman, relaying the message to him. So I wanted to one day to be the one who people can come to me and I can help them with their problems. So that's kind of how it initially started with me wanting to get involved with the law, because I saw how he helped people.
I see. Yeah. But you mentioned basketball was a passion of yours. So I mean, were you nice on the court, man? Were you like forward, guard? What did you? What positions did you play?
Point guard, man, all day.
Let me ask you this question: This is going to tell me everything I need to know about you right now, man.
Let me hear this. Go ahead, man.
Who's the greatest, man? Bron or Jordan?
What? Just for you having the audacity. What, man? 2, 3.
2, 3.
2, 3. Hold up. Bronwell 2, 3, 2. MJ.
Right. For the people
GOAT.
at home, there's no debate. Jordan is the GOAT. End of story, period. I can't believe, man, these young guys out here, man, think LeBron is the go-to. He's the GOAT.
Nah, man.
Delusional.
Mike all day.
Did you have all the Jordans growing up?
All of them.
All of them?
All of them.
What was your favorite pair, man? I would say the Jordan 1s are my favorite pair. But I like the joints when he came back to the Washington Wizards. I remember those Jordans came in a silver briefcase. I was like, this is wild. but they came with a silver briefcase price tag too.
All of them do, man. My favorite,
Yeah.
probably patent leathers.
The patent leather joints are
Probably patent
nice.
leathers, yeah.
Every time we go out, man, you always got a pretty spicy pair of Jordans on, man.
You know, I thought about putting them on today, but I didn't think it'd be appropriate. But I came close, my brother.
Yeah, I know you
close.
did, man. So tell me about like your journey into law then, because I have my own journey and like how I got into medicine, and it wasn't easy. Was your path to get into law easy? Because I don't see too many brothers and sisters as lawyers.
So I guess for me, man, so like you mentioned before, I played semi-professional basketball for about 4 or 5 years. Then I applied to law school, went to law school at Indiana University, McKinney, down in Indianapolis, Indiana. It was a little journey, a challenge for me, man. I'll tell this quick story, man. I took the LSAT my junior year of college, and I took it the afternoon of a game. We had a game later on that day, that evening. I was told the LSAT is multiple choice test. I was always great at multiple choice tests. This is nothing. Didn't study for it. Took the test, the hardest damn test I ever took in my life. I bombed it.
Right.
I took it a second time.
Yeah.
This time I prepared. I tried to get a book, a little study guide. I half-assed it through the study guide. Took the test again. Bombed it.
Yep.
I wasn't used to that.
Yeah.
So finally, my third time, I said, you know what? If I really want to do this, I got to really put in the work.
Right.
So at the University of Chicago, I took a LSAT course.
Right.
And I would take the train downtown. They had a little center downtown with Kaplan.
Okay.
I took the LSAT practice test 16 times.
Yep.
Took the test a third time, damn near aced the test.
Yeah. Nice.
So that's my challenge in trying to get into law school.
Yeah, I took the MCAT twice myself and found the same challenge. It was just unlike any test that I'd ever taken, and did the same thing that you did. Took the Kaplan course and then ultimately did well on the MCAT. Did you have struggles in law school though, or did you have a lot of support, family support, et cetera, to get through law school? Or did you kind of feel like you were on your own?
I had some support. Law school's different from undergrad, man. Just the way you study, how the assignments. Law school comes down to one test at the end, period. And it's graded on a curve. So everybody can do A work, but there's only so many A's, B's, C's, and D's that everybody can get.
That's crazy, man.
So there's a lot of people stressed out in the library, a lot of long, late nights. And so it definitely was a challenge, but having my dad, having some friends of mine who already been there, done that, telling me to be patient, to calm down. They always would tell me it's a marathon, not a sprint. And truly, that's what law school is. It tests your endurance.
Yeah, I used to on the podcast tell a couple of stories about like some challenges that I had in medical school, and but one of the things I thought was the hardest in medical school wasn't necessarily like the book stuff. It was just survival, like just finding like food to eat, figuring out ways to, pay the rent and stuff like that. I remember, my mother, shout out mom. I love you. I hope you're watching the podcast.
Mine too.
My mom would come down to medical school to visit. And I actually got to show a photo of this during the podcast, but my mom would come down and visit. And it was so infrequent that she would come down and visit. But when she did, she would always cook food. And whenever she would leave, I'd have a refrigerator full of like Tupperware from all the food that she fixed. And I would take photos of the food in the refrigerator to remind myself what it was like and how grateful I was to have food. So I never took it for granted. I'm gonna have to find one of these photos. I think it's like time-stamped and dated on my iPhone.
That's deep. It's interesting that you mentioned that because when I was in law school, luckily I had some family and friends, some aunts and cousins who lived in the area. I kept Tupperware and paper plates and aluminum foil in my car.
Yeah.
So when I would go to their house,
Yeah.
I would bring food back.
Yeah.
So that's how I was able to maintain and survive.
It's crazy how quickly you forget the struggle. I went to grad school in New Orleans. Shout out to the Big Easy NO. And when I was down there, I qualified for food assistance, food stamps. And I'm 23 at the time. Had never had food stamps, and it was humbling to know that I alone could not provide for myself, and I needed government assistance. And And so, I was able to qualify for food stamps, and they gave me a food stamp card. And I'll never forget, when I saw the balance on it, I just lost my mind. Yeah. I said, man, I got $200 on this food stamp card. I didn't really know how it worked. And so I went to the grocery store in New Orleans, and I just loaded up my shopping cart. I mean, I was just straight ignorant, man. I mean, I had steaks, I had the whole thing. And I get to the checkout line, and the lady rings up all my food, and then she says that'll be $40. And I said, well, I swiped my card already. And she said, no, food stamps don't cover toilet paper and soap and all these other things that I had. And I had to leave that stuff at the grocery store because I couldn't afford to buy it.
Right.
So I get home, and all I have are like paper plates and Tupperware. Man, I'm cooking all this amazing food, and I'm putting it in a dishwasher that I had with no soap. And man, I turned the heat up so high. It was all I could do to disinfect it, man. And I remember calling all of my boys saying, man, come by the house. I got all this amazing food, steaks. I mean, you name it. I just went to the grocery store, and the fellas came by, man. We ate all that food, and I had no idea that money would not get renewed into the next month. And that was a rough stretch, man, trying to figure out how to eat until the money got renewed.
So what did you do?
I hustled, man. I would go to, the student center. They would have various meetings for different clubs and organizations.
Oh, yeah, I did that too.
I would eat some of the food there. I would stop by friends of mine, who had money. Shout out to my buddy Amol Cambodge. I hope you're watching. Amol, he was a rich guy. And I would stop by his house and eat. And so you just find a way to make it work. So
I did the same, man. I was known throughout the law school to stop at different organizations' meetings.
Yeah.
Because they always had pizza.
Always at the meetings.
And they'd be like, here come Lonnie.
Always at the meetings.
So, yeah, absolutely, man.
But you got through law school. But the final test getting through law school is the bar exam.
Yeah.
I only heard about this bar exam probably in the last maybe, 2-3 years. There's a celebrity TV personality, Kim Kardashian, has a show, Keeping Up with the Kardashians. And apparently she decided that she was going to become a lawyer. But she was studying for the bar exam, but she didn't go to law school. Yeah. And so I said, how does this work? But apparently the bar exam, at least in the state of California, is all you need to become a lawyer?
Yeah, you don't have to go to law school. I understand in the state of California to get a California license. You can go straight to taking the bar. I think they also may have an apprenticeship you can do. But California is unusual for most other states where you have to go to an accredited law school prior to taking the bar. But California is a little different.
So that wasn't the case for you. You actually had to go.
I had to go, my brother.
Okay.
I had to go.
Would you, if you needed a lawyer, would you trust a lawyer that didn't go to law school but just did off the charts on the bar exam like Kim Kardashian?
Well, probably not. Although I heard that Abraham Lincoln didn't go to law school. He did learn through just straight apprenticeship. But generally speaking,
but shout out, he freed the slaves though, and that was back in the 1800s. So things a little bit different now.
Man,
though.
You got to go to law school, pass the bar at the very minimum for me. Come on, man.
Nah, that's cool. So tell me about the kind of law that you practice now. Then,
yeah.
so you do all that stuff, law school, bar exam, all that stuff. What do you do now? Tell me about the kind of law that you practice right now.
Yeah, so right now, me and my dad work together. We're kind of a general practice. We do a little bit of everything. My primary focus is on criminal defense. So I practice in federal court and in state court in the state of Illinois and in the state of Indiana. But overall, we're a general practice, but criminal defense is my number one focus.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that because there's a lot of hot topics in the news that I want to ask you about in just a second. But do you ever find like there's a struggle defending someone who I guess most people would assume or think, or maybe they've even confessed guilt? Do you ever find, a hard time defending those individuals? Maybe somebody's done like an egregious crime or something like that, and just like, man, you know what? I can't vouch for this. This is just crazy.
Not really, although I will say maybe cases involving children, especially when you're dealing with cases like rape or incest, child molestation, things like that. Those are a little tougher just personally to deal with, but to the point where I'm unable to do my job, that's not the case. I'm still able to perform and try to do what I got to do. Yeah,
I found myself, once or twice, as a physician, people coming in and saying, hey, look, my friend has got these crazy implants or just whatever, and I'm just like, you know what, like, just miss me with it. I can't be involved in the craziness. So no, I've definitely had those struggles myself. So, But that brings me to, I guess, the first sort of segment, I would call it, kind of some of the things that have been in the news lately. And I got to start with this Jeffrey Epstein thing, which is like just the wildest thing. I mean, I'd never even heard of this idea, and maybe it's because I'm in medicine, of sex trafficking and the idea that this guy is basically funneling these unsuspecting women, children, across state lines for sexual activities. I'm just like, how sick can you get? And to think that in our criminal justice system, somebody like him gets a fair trial. I mean, do you ever just look at the justice system and say, just some of this stuff I don't agree with? You know, if you have clearly engaged in this type of heinous activity, why are we even going to trial? Like, some people don't deserve a fair trial. Or does everybody deserve a fair?
Yeah, I don't know if I agree with that, Doc. I think everybody deserves a fair trial. Hey, look, man, we have a Constitution, right? U.S. Constitution, where everybody's entitled to a fair trial.
Is that the same Constitution that said that African Americans are 2/3 citizen? Is that
at one point?
Oh, okay.
At one point.
I got you.
Same
I got
one. But the government has the burden of proving their case. So if you're going to bring a case, prove it.
Okay. What about in scenarios in which someone has clearly committed a crime? You know, they on tape, on film, they've clearly done it. Those people also need a fair trial, maybe to state why they did it.
I mean, absolutely. I mean, in those situations, the question, especially in criminal law, the question, if you go to trial, how much time are you looking at if you were to lose that trial? But let's say, okay, I don't want to go to trial, I'll take a plea agreement. But what they're offering you, you might as well go to trial anyway. So if they're offering you a plea and the plea costs you to spend your rest of life in prison, then you might as well roll the dice and see what happens.
I see what you mean. It's interesting that even though Jeffrey Epstein is passed, this case kind of still lingers on with trying to figure out who are the other individuals involved. There's some discussion that maybe one of the princes over in England, maybe Prince Andrew or somebody's involved. There's another lady in prison, Ghislaine Maxwell, and it just seems like even though this guy is dead, the trial continues to linger to try to figure out who are the other co-defendants. But how do you get resolution to that when the main guy is not there to testify?
Here's the interesting about Epstein. I think in the early 2000s, he actually, the federal government are already investigating him for this. He entered into a non-prosecutorial agreement, kind of like a diversion agreement. This might have been back in 2007, 2008, where he had to do some things, certain conditions, stay out of trouble, community service, whatever the case may be. Then they no longer pursued prosecution. So once they brought it back up, there was this big fight between, hey, I had a deal with the government years ago. You guys weren't going to prosecute me on this. But once you got a new administration, political reasons, they brought it up all over again. But originally, the government had entered an agreement with him a while ago on that.
Is this I've heard of this idea of what's called double jeopardy, and maybe that's different, but my understanding is that you can't be tried for the same, statute twice, but I guess if he was never charged the first time, then that doesn't count then as double jeopardy,
well,
right?
It's a little different. Double jeopardy attaches once you actually start trial and the jury is sworn in.
Okay,
so once the trial has been set, you pick the jury and the jury stands up, takes their oath, double jeopardy attaches. Now at that point, you can't be retried for the same thing or for the same circumstantial transactions that you're there for to begin with.
Interesting. Okay. I only mentioned that because, another high-profile case, of course, was the R. Kelly case. Now, I do have to disclose that R. Kelly did go to Kenwood Academy High School, my high school in Chicago. I do not endorse R. Kelly or the things that he did. I just want to be clear about that. But I remember R. Kelly was on trial for these sexual activities that he was engaged in with minors or suspected minors back in the 2000s. And he got off, went on to open the Olympics in Atlanta and all this other great stuff. And then now fast forward, 15, 20 years later, gets tried for it again. But my understanding is that those are new charges, new victims, etc. I was really surprised, though, that this finally even came to trial significance. Because I remember as a high school student getting out of high school for my lunch period and walking outside and seeing R. Kelly's car parked in the high school parking lot, and kids just flocking saying, "Oh my gosh, R. Kelly!" And Chicago police at the time in the 90s saying, "Kids, don't all rush Mr. Kelly at once. Not Mr. Kelly, get off of this high school grounds, but kids just don't all rush him at one time. I was like, wow. And so now that they're saying, we can't believe these things happen, I'm like, some of you guys were actually enablers in this stuff happening. But I was surprised that he got tried again, but finally got convicted of some of this stuff.
The thing with Kells is that, he had a state case in Illinois, charges that. He also was charged federally in Illinois. I think he also had a state case in Minnesota, and he was also tried in New York. So he actually had different cases for different things.
Wow.
Which is why, he had more than one trial and more than one case going on.
Wow.
Because he had allegations of different victims and different time frames in different jurisdictions.
Right. Just unbelievable, the stuff that he was convicted of, and just incredibly sick. I do have to ask you though, what's your favorite Kel song?
You let that 12-play album ride out.
I would agree.
Just let the album ride out.
I like TP2. And again, I do not condone the craziness that he was involved in, but the music was outstanding.
Him as an entertainer, R&B.
It was. I just hate that it was created by just a monster, but it is what it is. And but that brings me to this next story of and this is probably like one of the number one terms of 2023, 24, 25 is RICO. You hear RICO's on everything, and I think it sort of got popularized by some of the drill scene rappers, probably most notably by Young Thug. And my understanding is this idea that RICO was initially, I guess, maybe this statute or this statute was sort of created by the government to address the mafia and mafia dealings, but somehow it's now been extrapolated for organized activity, even amongst like some of the younger rappers that are out. Again, I just mentioned moments ago this Young Thug trial, where apparently there were some victims who were maybe even killed in some situations, and now his team or he himself is now on trial as sort of spearheading some of this activity. So what exactly is RICO? Is that kind of my understanding of it?
Great question. So it was originally intended for the mob, the mafia. And what it is the Racketeer Influence Corrupt Organizations Act. And it has parts to it. The first part is you got to have an enterprise, right? And typically an enterprise is just a group of people, two or more people. Well, and that group, that enterprise can actually be a actual legal corporation. Or it can
legal corporation?
It can be a corporation, can be considered an enterprise.
Okay.
Or something that's not a corporation. All you need is a group of people.
Okay.
All right. And then you have to have predicates. The predicates are the underlying offenses, meaning separate actual crimes where, for example, you got bribery, homicide, kidnapping, fraud. What you have to show is at least two predicate offenses within a 10-year period that this enterprise did. Okay. And it was developed in order, because in the mob and the mafia, you have the guy up top. He or she might not be hands-on doing the dirty work. But it was a way of being able to get everybody responsible for everything in order to get the person that's calling the shots.
Okay. And that worked for the mafia.
That's why it was developed.
I see.
By the government in order to take down and dismantle the mobs and the mafias.
So are they basically looking to bring down the whole organization in the RICO, or just the top person, that like kind of the snakehead kind of a thing? You're just looking to get rid of the top guy.
I think both, right? You want to get the top guy and you want to dismantle the enterprise.
Right.
The money that you're making, the assets that you have.
Right.
Which is why with RICO, you also have forfeiture. So how that works is forfeiture. If you have any profits that you made from the things that you did, any assets that you might have used. If you drove a car, I got cases now, drug cases, where if my client is charged with a drug crime and now the government's trying to seize their asset, if your car was ever used to transport anything, if you ever had the drugs in your house, if you ever made a profit, got any money, they can seize all of that as being part of things that you were using in order to conduct the illegal activity.
But how do you prove RICO, right? I mean, because is there some bias? I mean, government comes to pinch me. Of course, I'm going to tell and say that this guy did it. So, I mean, how are those witnesses even reliable, right? I mean, if you're facing RICO, and my understanding these are extended sentences, I mean, of course somebody's going to say, I didn't do it. He told me to do it. So how do you do you trust? There's no honor amongst thieves. So how do you trust one guy is telling the truth?
Well, that's a good point. I mean, proving RICO is hard. It's not easy, but you try to have as much corroborative evidence that you have. You don't just rely on the testimony, because whoever's testimony might be given could be credible, could be non-credible. Do you have things to corroborate it? Do you have other witnesses? Do you have receipts? Do you have documentary evidence? Any other recordings, video? You try to get as many supporting evidence to support whatever that person is saying he or she did and whatever instruction that he or she might have gotten from someone.
Right. It's interesting because, the two most recent RICO cases, it looks like even though these are sort of ironclad sort of statutes, the RICO statute, it looks like the two most recent cases, the defendants have gotten off. I mentioned Young Thug, but the most recent, P. Diddy. The Diddy situation. The Diddy situation.
Yeah.
I mean, this is everywhere. So Diddy's accused, I guess, two scenarios or two statutes of RICO, and then the other one is some level of prostitution in which he was engaged in taking minors across state lines.
So he had 2 RICO counts. He had 2 sex trafficking counts dealing with Cassie and Jane.
Okay.
And then he had the counts regarding 2 counts on transportation or prostitution across state lines. So 1 RICO, 2 sex trafficking, 2 transporting prostitution across state lines.
Diddy has been in jail for almost a year and a half, maybe.
Since September of last year. He is found innocent or not guilty on the RICO charges. How is he in jail if he's not been convicted of anything? Why is he even in jail to begin with? My understanding is he's now been convicted of the sex trafficking, right. But before he gets convicted, why does he not get bail? He's not a violent offender. Granted, the things that he's accused of are crazy and heinous, but why does he not get a chance to get out of jail? So ultimately, even though he beat the RICO and the sex trafficking, he was convicted on the Mann Acts. Statutes, charges that they charged him with. He was convicted on that.
Okay.
But in federal court, when you're found convicted at trial, there's already a presumption that you're going to remain in custody or be taken into custody. However, you can argue to be let out. And under federal law, you can bring in other instances of violent acts that maybe have nothing to do with the trial in order to justify to keep the person locked up. In Diddy's case with the judge, how he rationalized to keep him in custody was that Diddy's own defense team during the trial conceded that he's a domestic batterer. The judge saw the tape of Cassie and what happened by the elevator.
Okay.
And so even though he wasn't convicted on those things,
I see.
that evidence was still used against him to ultimately have the judge justify to keep him in right now.
But even if he's convicted as a batterer, is the jail time for that a year, 2 years? There are some scenarios in which people are convicted of domestic abuse. They get a couple of weeks or a couple of months.
Well,
so why is he in jail for?
Well, keep in mind, he wasn't convicted of battery.
Okay.
Had he been charged for the Cassidy incident, that would have been in California a decade ago.
Okay, I see.
Statute of limitations ran on the battery part. He was never charged.
I see.
But as far as the Mann Act, which he was convicted on, technically he can find himself going to prison up to 10 years on each count.
What, on each count?
The Mann Act, if you're convicted of one, has a maximum 10 years in prison.
Wow.
So, but the interesting thing on the Mann Act is that I don't believe anyone in Diddy's situation has ever been taken to trial and convicted on the Mann Act. People are hardly ever charged for that.
So I'm not asking you to predict the future, but if you had to say with any certainty coming up this fall when he is sentenced, do you think he's home by Christmas, or do you think he gets out pretty quickly?
I think if he doesn't get time served.
What is time served?
Meaning he gets credit for the time he's already done, you can go home now.
Really?
And that's what his defense team is pushing for, is time served.
I see.
But if he doesn't get time served, I would say he'll do another year.
Wow.
Most.
Okay. He's toxic. He's radioactive when he gets out.
His attorney was speaking on Court TV earlier this week. Typically under the Mann Act, you are going after people who profited from transporting people for prostitution, who made money off it. In Diddy's situation, he was one of the Johns. He was paying for the service.
I see.
Right? He wasn't profiting off of
see.
that. And that's what the intent was. I think the statute was created in like 1910. But that's why it was considered a financial crime for people who were trying to make money off of prostitution. That wasn't Diddy. And according to his attorney, nobody sitting in custody right now in the whole country under what Diddy was convicted of under the Mann Act. He is the only one.
Wow.
So that's why you got to kind of ask yourself, you're just dealing with fairness. You take out everything that you may think of him, what you've seen on the video. Is it fair for him to be sitting in a prison, jail right now for this?
And you think that's because he's such a high-profile figure that he's there? Because my understanding is that there's another high-profile individual, Russell Simmons, who I think there was speculation that Russell may have been involved in similar activities that Diddy. And before this all kind of went down, Russell is now maybe in Southeast Asia or Bali or someplace like that, and has no intentions of returning to the state. And so that flight risk, my understanding is maybe that's why they didn't want Diddy out, or the concern that maybe he could influence potential witnesses, et cetera, if he were out.
They offer, the flight risk. I mean, you've already been to trial. You've had your trial. You beat the top counts.
Yep.
He put up a $50 million bond. He's willing to be on home detention, meaning they're going to put him on a monitor, have his own security detail.
Right.
So the bond package that they proposed is
unprecedented.
A hell of a package.
Right. Okay.
Especially from someone who's convicted of something who the federal government typically does not charge people of the Mann Act. If that was the case, they can go to Wall Street right now and be charging all kind of folks for the people they be flying in and out of things they be doing on Wall Street.
Right.
They don't charge this.
So this is basically like just punishing Diddy. Like, go to your room. You've been a bad boy, literally, and now we're gonna make you pay a little bit.
I think his celebrity stature played at least a part, was a factor in him being charged.
Wow. When Diddy gets out, what do you think the path forward for him is? I mean, it's kind of hard to go hang out with a guy that has done some of the things that he's admitted to doing. And what do you think?
You know what? That's a good question, man. I'm never someone to sit up here and say someone's not entitled to redemption or can't recover in some form or fashion.
Fair enough.
And so is it maybe going to be a challenge for him? Yes. But I wouldn't put it past him to figure out what his next chapter is in life.
Sure.
And try to, obviously, he needs to move differently.
Yeah.
Obviously. But I think he can still, if he's able to get out, find a pathway forward.
Okay. All right. It's good advice. I want to switch. I want to switch gears a little bit and do a couple fun things. On the side here, I've got a few images, and with these images, we'll get to that in a second. Actually, okay. I want to. The title of this segment is going to be "Whose Lawyer Is It?" And I'm going to show you some examples of some lawyers, and I just want to get your honest opinion on what you think about these individuals. And so let me start with the first individual here. This is Gloria Allred. I think I'm pronouncing her name correctly. From my understanding, she is a renowned attorney, most notable for crimes against women, sexual, misconduct on behalf of men against women, trafficking, prostitution, things like that. When you see Gloria Allred, what do you think when you think about her?
I think of a passionate, advocate for women. That's
Absolutely.
What comes to mind. She's very passionate, feels very strongly about defending women's rights.
The next image, though, is this is probably one of the most famous criminal defense attorneys, probably of at least my lifetime. This is none other than Johnnie Cochran.
The GOAT.
The GOAT.
The GOAT.
the GOAT.
Johnnie Cochran.
Probably one of the most famous lines in criminal defense history, I guess. And that is, if it doesn't fit, you must acquit.
There you go.
What's interesting, I didn't know this, but apparently, and I think it's even seen in this photo here. Now, I don't know if this is true. Johnnie Cochran is dead. OJ is dead. We have no way of knowing. But my understanding was that because OJ, I guess, it did not sort of self-identify with the black community. When he was facing trial, apparently Johnny wanted to sort of re-endear him to the African-American community. He was a famous African-American athlete. He had married a white woman and ultimately was convicted of killing her. And now you have a jury of your peers, many of whom are African-American. And how do you show that he is aligned or he is one of you? And so my understanding is that Johnny would wear sort of African-inspired ties every day, almost like sending a subliminal message to the jury. Are things like that done when you go to trial? Are you are there like subliminal cues, things that you wear, mannerisms that you have to try to maybe sort of gain favor of the jury as it relates to your client? Do you do things like that, or is that done?
I can't say whether or not I've done clothing-wise anything to try to placate to the jury's beliefs or their values or anything like that. But picking a jury is the most important thing in a criminal case. I mean, they're the ones who are going to decide the fate. And so you're always trying to get into the jury's values, their beliefs, their minds. Before you pick a jury, you're allowed to ask them questions, especially in state court. Not in federal court, the judges does it mostly. But you're able to ask them questions to find out what do they believe in, what are their opinions, what TV shows do they watch, things of that nature. You get their thoughts on things. And so anything that you can use in order to get the type of juror that you would prefer to be on the jury,
sure,
versus somebody who's against your client, you use all the tools in the toolbox.
Let me ask you, you mentioned that was a good point. So you're entitled to a jury of your peers.
Yes.
So you could just decide that you want a judge instead of a jury. Is that correct?
So that's called a bench trial.
A bench trial.
But let's say I want a bench trial, but the government wants a jury.
Okay.
You go with the jury. If one side wants the jury wins.
Okay.
If one side wants the bench and the other side doesn't care, it can be a bench.
Historically, what's more favorable to the defense? Is it a bench trial or a jury of your peers?
In my opinion, I want the jury, right?
You want the jury?
Because I got 12 bites at the apple. And what I mean by that is all I need is at least one person to believe my story in order to avoid a guilty verdict.
Oh,
right?
Okay.
For the bench, you're just dealing with that judge. That judge is going to make the determination on guilt or innocence.
Okay. Right? Historically, did judges tend to go with the prosecution or with the defense? If you were just to, I know we haven't looked at the numbers, but if you were just to say, do they tend to come down pretty hard on the defense?
I don't know.
Because they're so knowledgeable.
Right.
The jury is not necessarily knowledgeable. Right. They're not lawyers.
Right. I don't know what the numbers are. But I think there is the feeling amongst us defense attorneys, the defense bar, that we have the short end of the stick at the end of the day.
Okay.
So put it that way.
Okay, fair enough. I have to put this this next photo up because sometimes I wonder, like almost like physicians, sometimes when they get on TV, do they lose some of their values, morals, for the attention and the clicks? This next individual, Judge Judy. I always wonder, before Judge Judy was Judge Judy, was she like this, or is some of this just an act for TV? When you see like TV judges and lawyers, do they still appear genuine to you, or maybe they lost a little bit of their luster as being credible?
Lost some luster.
Lost a little bit of luster.
That's
but they gained a couple
TV
millions
judges.
though. So
yeah, absolutely. And I'm not mad at them.
Not mad at them.
I'm not mad at them.
Okay. I gotta show this next individual because I think especially in recent years with a lot of sort of these civil rights crimes that have been happening, he has sort of become the preeminent defender in those cases. And that's other than Ben Crump, who I must say is also a proud member of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. Shout out to the Qs. What are your thoughts on Ben Crump?
I think they call him, he has that nickname, the Black Attorney General.
The Black Attorney General.
I mean, he's been advocating for rights of all minorities, not just black folks.
Okay, fair enough. All minorities.
And he's always in the fight. He has a lot of haters. But I think he has more people who love and appreciate what he's all about, and I'm one of them.
Okay.
He's the Black Attorney General.
Okay, you should have been a Q then. No, let me bring up this next individual. This is one of my favorites. And Mom, I know if you're watching at home, you love this attorney. This is none other than the fictional
for
character,
sure.
Ben Matlock.
Matlock.
I used to watch Matlock with my mom when I was a
still
kid.
do.
I mean, this man loved hot dogs. I mean, Andy Griffith, this is just amazing. I thought he was just an amazing lawyer. I thought he was very savvy. He wasn't caught up in a lot of the flash and flare, wearing the fancy clothes, the gimmicky lines. He was just kind of meat and potatoes kind of a guy.
That works for him. Folksy, and being like that, you connect with the jury. Because the jury, they're regular people. So if they can relate to you, they can understand, they like you. And Matlock was that. I always wonder how many of those gray suits he had. Though.
Yeah.
A lot of that
I only saw him in one. He probably just dry cleaned it every day. So, but the next one is just is a pioneer of the civil rights movement.
Godfather.
The Godfather. This is none other than the first black Supreme Court justice. This is Thurgood Marshall. And I didn't realize that before Thurgood Marshall was the Supreme Court justice, that apparently he was the lawyer in the case of Brown versus the Board of Education.
Yes, sir.
Which basically I think was the landmark case that I think integrated schools to some level.
Yep.
And so that's how sort of he rose to fame. Yep. But Thurgood, I thought, was just an amazing justice, human being, and person, just person in general. And it's unfortunate that we've lost him. But wow, just what an amazing person.
No, he was great. He actually was before he became a judge, was one of the attorneys through the NAACP. So they used to send him out throughout the country to handle different cases, different places all the time.
The next photo, I had to throw this in just to close it out.
Who you got?
But I got to get your opinion. Let me just cut to the chase. Rudy Giuliani. But I had to bring this up because when I think about Rudy was an amazing leader. I'm thinking about the Rudy Giuliani that led New York through the 9/11 attacks. I think it was the 9/11 attacks. And it just appears that in recent years, just Rudy has kind of, changed a bit.
I don't know what happened to Rudy. I don't know what happened to Rudy, man.
I don't know what happened to Rudy either.
He was on top of the world at one point.
He was, and that has changed. Let me ask you about this. What are your thoughts on snitching? Right, as a lawyer, I'm assuming that you want all of the information from your client. But let's say you're involved in a criminal ring. If nobody talks, how do you bring down the organization if nobody is speaking, right? I mean, don't you have to have one person that says the other person did it for this to work?
Well, typically, obviously, how the government would do it, they have, let's say you have multiple people charged with something, what they're going to do is the first person to talk going to get the better deal.
Right.
The first person to talk might get charges dismissed. And typically there's always at least one, right, who's going to take that deal. And so that's one way that the government tries to maybe get people to talk.
I've seen scenarios in which individuals, though, are innocent, but there's just an abundance of evidence, maybe circumstantial, and they just decide, you know what, I'm just going to plea. I mean, what are your thoughts if your client says, look, I am innocent of this crime, but you as a lawyer say, like, the facts don't really speak to that. Would you advise them to cop a plea, even though they're telling you, look, I didn't do this? We've seen plenty of examples more recently in recent years in which individuals are being, exonerated, DNA evidence. They're saying, look, I told you 50 years ago I didn't do this. And now the evidence is showing that. I mean, have you ever had a scenario in which you said, look, I know you're saying that, but I'm your lawyer. I think you need to, we need to plea out to this.
Well, whether or not to take a plea or to go to trial is strictly a decision for the client. And I let that be known clear.
But don't you have to advise them on this?
You give them your opinion. You give them their advice, but I don't force anyone to do anything that they don't want to do. I lay out the evidence here. If we go to trial, here's what the government has against you. This is what you're facing. This is what the possible penalty is if we go to trial and lose.
Yeah.
This is what the plea agreement is. And so I go over the pros and cons. I always tell my clients, I'm going to tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear.
Yeah.
I want to make sure he or she makes an informed decision. And ultimately, whether or not they want to go take a plea or go to trial, I leave that up to them. But yes, have there been times where I'll give them my opinion? Hey, look, this is a good deal. You might want to consider it. Yes, there's been times.
Is it possible in the middle of a trial, let's say there's new evidence that comes to light, is it possible in the trial for like, your client or you to say, we want to change, our plea or what we want to be, guilty now. Can we still have the deal that we passed up on, 3 months ago before this started? Can you go back and change that?
It's possible. So what I'll say is the government has the right to offer whatever they want to offer.
Okay.
And the defendant in a criminal case has the right to say yes or no to the offer.
Okay.
So if the government sometimes when you start a trial, the government say the plea's off the table.
Okay.
And now you're going to trial, so you might not be anything for you to even accept if they're not offering it anymore.
Right.
But sometimes the government might feel like the case is not really going their way, or they might still be willing. Okay, we'll still offer it. So can it happen? Yes. As far as new evidence, typically once the trial starts, whatever that new evidence is, it can't come in and be used anyway.
That's interesting.
Unless it's something that is beneficial to the defendant in the case.
That's interesting.
Then that can now you may be dealing with a mistrial and now you're starting all over from scratch.
So for the viewers at home then, snitches do get stitches, but snitches also don't get sentences as well. So there you go.
There you go. Sometimes that's the case.
Well, let's get to the next segment because this is a fun one. I think you got a few things on the side of your chair over there.
All right.
And I call this mugshot justice because I always see on TV, whenever somebody gets arrested, the first thing they do is they show the mugshot. And and I can't help but wonder, the mugshot is the first thing anybody sees. And then later on down the line, you have to choose a jury of your peers. But I always wonder, is the jury tainted? They've seen your mugshot, and based on that mugshot, they may have some level of bias on your guilt or innocence. And so I'm always thinking, do you not like, if your client has to turn themselves in, do you tell them, hey, look, this is what I would wear. This is what I would do, maybe get your haircut, do whatever, so you look clean cut.
I would say most of the times, my clients end up hiring me after the mugshot has already been taken.
Okay.
So it's very seldom how I've been in a situation where I knew they were about to be arrested or something like that. But yeah, you always at all times want to try to look as presentable as possible, if possible.
Well, I'm going to show you a series of photographs, and you have a few cards there.
Yeah.
And based on the photos that I show you, I want you to tell me, is this individual flat out guilty, innocent, or I just have no earthly idea? Okay. Is that fair enough?
So we're doing strictly off of the picture.
This
not the evidence in their case.
This has nothing to do with the known evidence in the case. We are strictly going off of a photo that anybody can see and your opinion on guilt or innocence based on photo alone.
Gotcha.
So for the first photo, I always wanted to say this. I present Defense Exhibit A.
There you go. You did a good job.
Did I do good on that? Yeah. This is a photo of none other than Jeffrey Epstein, and he's unshaved. Looks like he could certainly use a mid-facelift and certainly some Botox in the upper third of the face, as long as with a few other things. What are your thoughts based on this photo? You know nothing about the evidence. Based on this photo, what do you think? Guilt, innocence, or I have no idea? No clue.
I'm gonna go no clue.
No clue. Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
No clue.
Okay. Fair enough. Okay. I'll buy that. Let's go to the next photo. This is for me growing up, this is sort of an icon. I don't know if this show influenced you to go into law, but certainly it had some influence on my decision to go into medicine. And I present the next piece of evidence, photo of none other than Bill Cosby when he was arrested. Based on this photo of this aged African-American man, somewhat disgusted look on his face, any thoughts on guilt or innocence in this photo?
I have a thought.
What is that?
No clue.
No clue. Man, you starting to go middle of the road. You starting to go lawyer talk right now,
No
man.
clue.
Are you going to do this for everybody that I show you?
We're about to depend on who you show me. Depends on who you show me.
All right. Let's go to the next one. This is a picture individual that we talked about earlier today. Popular case, But evidence aside, based on the photo, guilt or innocence, Young Thug. You're hesitating on this. You're hesitating on this. You pump faked on me, man. Okay. You don't know. You don't know.
Clue.
Okay. I'm looking at this photo of Thug. Thug doesn't look too happy in this photo.
No.
I would agree. It's hard to say, but he doesn't look happy.
I don't think you'll be happy taking a picture for the FBI or for the local police department.
Enough. Okay. I wonder if the nose ring influences the jury. I don't know. You know, Thug is off, free Thug, so Thug is home. So there you go.
I would do my best to try to keep that out from the jury seeing that if I could.
Fair enough. Let me go to the next one. We talked about, we didn't talk about this individual earlier, but Justin Timberlake. It was amazing when Justin was arrested, I think last year. Justin was pulled over by the cops, and apparently, I guess maybe the police did or did not recognize his celebrity. And apparently the comment, I don't know if this is true or not, I'd have to look at the video, but apparently Justin said, "You're going to ruin the world tour." Apparently he was getting ready to go on world tour.
I didn't hear that.
Yeah. What do you think about celebrities who try to use their celebrity to get off or to sort of skirt arrest or, you know, a DUI or whatever? Is that advisable? Does it work?
I don't know if it works or not. I think it cuts both ways. I think sometimes your celebrity can be helpful and beneficial to you in order to get away or get out of things. But I think sometimes, and we talked about the Diddy situation, sometimes it can be used against you. The fact that you are a celebrity can be a reason or a basis that maybe the government trying to go after
that you're
you.
not above the law.
So I think it can cut both ways, actually.
Yeah, fair enough. The next one, you know, it's just, it is what it is. Kells, R. Kelly. I would say when I look at Kells, I can't throw the evidence aside. I look at this photo, I say this man is guilty as charged, man.
Hey,
what do you say
to the viewers?
To the viewers,
the picture only. All right, none of the evidence. I got no
man,
clue.
throw the other cards away, man. This is all you're going to use, man. And the last one is probably the most viewed mugshot in the history of mugshots. This is President Donald Trump. You don't have to give me your thoughts.
You know what? But what's crazy is that I think, one, he blew up a big picture that is up in the White House. And he actually monetized that mugshot photo.
This photo's in the White House?
Yes, in the White House, big picture. And he actually has T-shirts, coffee mugs.
Wow.
And he monetized it.
Man, shout out to Trump on making a buck. This man is a quintessential businessman. Wow. Man, what are your thoughts on this photo alone? You got three cards there. You're going to change it up. What are you going to do? Man, you ain't changed nothing, man.
Hey, man, I'm a criminal defense attorney. I can't judge nobody, my clients, by their pictures alone.
That's hilarious, man. Let me ask you, man. I know we're getting towards the end of the episode, man, the podcast. But as you think back on your career, man, what are some of the craziest cases that you've been involved in? I was thinking about this the other day. Some of the craziest cases that I was involved in. I remember one as a resident. I went down to the trauma bay, and there was a guy that had a pencil. Somebody stabbed the guy with a pencil going through his right eye. I mean, and the guy just was walking, talking, just completely normal. Absolutely lost vision in that eye. But I just would have thought the pencil went through the guy's brain. And that was a meticulous surgery to try to save his eye. Ultimately, he lost it, but the guy lived. Can you think of any crazy cases that you've been involved in? Whether, I see Courtroom TV, people are jumping over the barriers trying to get to the defendant, or, people are like smirking at the jury and doing things like that. I mean, have you ever been involved in any crazy cases like that you think back on?
I have quite a few crazy cases. Depends on what your definition of crazy is.
Yeah.
I had a lot of gruesome cases.
Really?
Heartbreaking cases. Especially murder cases.
Really?
Sometimes how they go down.
Wow.
I'll tell you a quick story. I'll make it quick. It was actually when I was a prosecutor, before I flipped and went to the defense side.
Yeah.
My very first murder trial I did. And in that case, these two people, they both were drug dealers fighting over the same girl. And they used to always get in fights and have issues when they see each other around town. Then one day, when one of them, the person that died in this case, he was outside in front of it with his family. He was outside fixing his car. The guy he had issues with, he saw walk up the street. He walks up, the guy that was walking up the street walks up to the guy that died, says, listen, man, I want to call a truce. It's going on long enough. Bygones be bygones. They actually shook hands. They shook hands. The guy that walked up the street took 2 steps back, pulled out a 9, shot him 15 times.
After the handshake.
After the handshake. What's interesting about that case was that every day, the courtroom was divided in 2 sides.
Wow.
The defendant's family and friends on one side, the victim's family's on one side. And every day, the victim, his mom, his sister, and his aunt showed up every day. And when they read the verdict of the person being found not guilty, you can hear a pin drop. And I just remember the aunt and the mother, the aunt and the sister who showed up throughout the trial all week, who I developed a relationship with.
Yeah.
I was just hearing them crying.
Wow.
And that was the very first murder trial that I did. And what's interesting about that case, the guy that died, his cousin was in a car across the street, saw the whole thing, and could identify the person who shot him.
Wow.
His cousin, last I heard, took off, went to California, never testified on behalf of his own cousin.
Wow. Unbelievable.
So
that's like street code stuff, man. Unbelievable.
To the street code won out. Imagine seeing your cousin being killed right in front of you.
Yeah.
And you don't do anything as far as the...
Unbelievable.
So that was, I would say, even though I've had maybe more crazier stories than that one sticks out because that was my very first murder case.
Yeah.
As a prosecutor.
Wow. As we wrap up, I'm going to ask you the best and the worst, but I'm going to start with the worst. What's the worst piece of legal advice that you've ever heard somebody give a defendant? Just the you just like, what law school did you go to? Like, why would you tell somebody to do this? And then likewise, I'm going to ask you, what's the best piece of legal advice that you would give a client or that you've heard someone give a client? You can start either with the best or the worst, but I'm curious to know what you've heard.
At least one of the worst will be somebody advising someone that they don't need an attorney for something.
Even if it's clear cut?
I would never advise someone not to get an attorney.
Really?
Right, not to. Now, whether or not you still choose to do something on your own.
Okay.
Because there's always that chance of something not turning out or working out the way that you want it to. And I don't want to be, well, you told me not to get one. So I would advise you to still get one.
Okay. So in the era of Chat GPT and AI, don't rely on AI to be my criminal defense.
No.
No.
It could be a great starting point. It could be a starting point, which is crazy. You have lawyers who are getting in trouble now for AI by allowing AI to write their briefs.
What?
Their motions.
Really?
And it turns out a lot of sometimes with the AI, their citations and things are not always correct.
Really?
So AI is fantastic, especially as a starting, but you got to proofread this stuff.
Right.
You gotta
Okay.
proofread it and
Interesting. So do not use AI as your criminal defense.
Like, don't solely rely on it.
Okay,
get
fair
your
enough.
ideas, starting point, whatever you need to do, but make sure you still look for your supporting evidence.
Yes, and get a lawyer. What's the best piece of advice that you've heard or that you yourself have given to a client?
One of the best pieces I received when I was starting as a young lawyer, a mentor of mine told me, never let them see you sweat. So when I'm in trial, you feeling like you're getting fucked, right?
Videotape of me pops up me shooting the guy in the head. Don't let them see you sweat.
Don't let them see you sweat.
That's the time when they need to see me apologizing on my knees, like begging for mercy.
And I think it's more so from an attorney aspect, right?
Okay.
Because you always want to seem as if you are in control. You're not being rattled. Because the jury's watching you. They're seeing how you react. And as soon as they see maybe you're not as confident in your case anymore, as soon as they see you starting to skirmish a little bit, whatever the case may be, they might lose confidence in believing it is what you're saying.
Wow.
And your position. So even though you might be sweating bullets underneath your clothes,
wow,
don't let them see it.
Fair enough. I do have to mention one last thing before I wrap up. This is a personal issue, and I'm glad I have you here to get your legal advice. Let me tell you a little bit. Let me tell you a story. About 4 years ago now, I was doing some yard work, renovation work. Had some new sod put in. and I had a new irrigation system put in. My good friend, our friend, Dr. O. Shayo Oshogmowo.
James Earl Jones.
James Earl Jones. Shayo comes by the house. We're doing some other stuff, and I invite Shayo in. I said, come on in and have a drink. When we have a drink, chop it up, Shayo decides to leave. He's parked in my driveway, and I've got security cameras all around the house. I only found out this at a later date. The next day, I'm leaving the house, and I see there's some damage to my lawn. The grass clearly has been run over. There are tire marks. Irrigation sprinkler head is busted.
Yeah.
I'm like, what in the hell happened to my brand new side and irrigation system? So I put on a pot of coffee, and I spend the next day scrubbing camera footage, trying to figure out what meteor hit my damn grass. Until I finally land on a clip that I actually have of Shayo, Dr. O. For those of you who like and follow the podcast, a lot of you have been asking for him. I see an image of Shayo backing out of my driveway, with text messaging, phone in hand, driving clean over my grass and my irrigation system. I'm like, wait, watch the video. Now he pulls forward. In the video, you would think he's pulling back in to get out of the car to tell me of the property damage to my house. No. He pulls forward, reverses, backs out again, cleans out a second irrigation head before he pulls out of the driveway and takes off. Now, I see this brother for about a month or two straight. Every time I see him in the hospital, Shayo, how you doing? Oh, I'm good, man. You good? I'm like, yeah, I'm good. Got anything you want to tell me? Nah, everything is good with me. I'm like, okay, cool. See Shayo the next day, next week. Shayo, everything good? Oh, yeah, everything is good, man. Okay. Anything you want to tell me? Nothing. Finally, man, I had to present the evidence, man. I took out my phone, showed him the video clip. And he's watching. He's like, man, look, I want to talk to you. I said, no, it's too damn late to talk now, man. My question to you now is 4 years later, the evidence shows that Shayo injured and damaged my property.
Yeah.
What is my legal recourse?
I don't think
Shayo, you better be hoping he comes down easy on you.
Shy, I don't think you have a legal recourse.
What?
I think you waited too late.
Too late?
I think the statute of limitations.
Man, I gotta get another lawyer,
and
man.
You might have. And who told you to bring him in and have a drink? You might have contributed to your.
Fair enough, Shayo, you off the hook right now. Lonnie says you're good, man. Man, look, Lonnie, this has been a privilege, man, to have you come by the studio, man. I'm so happy we shot this episode. A lot of viewers at home are gonna be asking, man, who is this brother? You got this crappy Kappa lapel pin on and whatnot. How can I get a hold of him? I need a good lawyer. What platforms are you on? Website, etc.
Yeah,
tell the viewers.
Website rrandolphlaw.com. Instagram is rrandolphlaw as well. Also, my personal Instagram is L2, the number 2 Randolph. Facebook, the same, L2 Randolph. Hit me up, all right?
No doubt. To the viewers at home, thank you for tuning in. Follow me on all platforms, Facebook, Instagram, etc. Hit the bell notification icon to be notified when new videos drop. To my man, Lonnie, appreciate you coming by the studio, my brother. And to the viewers at home, catch you at the next podcast. Peace.
Yo.